Hello again, and I want to thank you for joining us again for the fifth video in this educational series. In the previous video, we discussed how and why low-level laser therapy could produce photobiomodulation, where most other forms of laser therapy may fail to do so. In this video, we want to continue this discussion with how photobiomodulation through low-level laser therapy affects the human body. Photobiomodulation occurs in three forms. First, the transferred photon can change the energy state of an electron. Second, the transferred photon can donate an electron to a redox molecule. For example, this process can change the capacity of a hemoglobin molecule to carry oxygen from one molecule to 4. Then thirdly, the transferred photon can ionize a chemical bond, thereby producing a cellular response which changes the cell's homeostatic set point. Then there are four distinct biological effects of photobiomodulation. First is growth factor production, which occurs within the cells and tissue in response to increased ATP and protein synthesis. This initiates mitosis or cellular proliferation by changing the cell's mitochondrial or nuclear membranes permeability. Second is pain relief resulting from suppression of the nociceptor response mediated by increased serotonin and endorphin release. Third, we have immune modulation and mitigation of the inflammatory response. This occurs because the mononuclear phagocyte cells, mast cells, and leukocytes are stabilized, preventing the release of harmful inflammatory mediators. In addition, vasodilation and increased microcirculation allows a rapid return to homeostasis and promotes one of the most amazing effects called first intention healing, which describes some of the most miraculous healing results anyone could imagine. And fourth is direct trigger point stimulation, allowing direct release of endorphins and other endogenous pain mediators such as serotonin, VIP, substance P, prostaglandins, and so on. If you study the references of the forms and effects of photobiomodulation, you will realize that there are few physiological functions that low-level laser therapy through biological chromophore activation cannot support. We stated earlier that photobiomodulation was the first goal of low-level laser therapy. However, the next goal of low-level laser therapy is biological amplification. Biological amplification is the alternative response to the penetration effect of infrared laser therapy. Biological amplification is when photobiomodulation occurs, the photon activates a chromophore, and that single enzyme molecule rapidly catalyzes thousands of other chemicals. This is similar to the well-known calcium-regulated second messenger CAMP cascade. This biological amplification process explains how photobiomodulation can produce such profound systemic, cellular, and clinical effects. In combination with biological amplification, once a low-level laser photon reaches the first living cell, that photon or the energy of that photon is transferred to the next cell via optical windows found on every living cell's membrane until it finds a matching chromophore. This is how Einstein originally stated that systemic internal body communication functions. This means that if you are treating a trauma patient for a visible wound on the skin, the body can utilize that energy to treat other wounds in different areas of the body at the same time, even internal injuries that you were not aware of. So when you can deliver systemic body therapy, simple penetration becomes totally obsolete. The above information begins to explain how low-level laser therapy can have a supportive influence on almost every physiological process of the human body. But I want to mention a couple of the most commonly known benefits of low-level laser therapy. The first is wound healing. This includes wounds of all tissues from skin to bones. This study, performed numerous times, took rats and wounded both their right and left hips on both the control group and the test group. The results were 10 days following the wounding, the closure on the control rats averaged 26%, but the irradiated rats averaged a closure rate of 65% on both wounds. The left, which were irradiated, and the right hips, which never received any therapy. This demonstrated two things. First, that low-level laser therapy improved the healing time by more than 2.5 times as fast. and secondly, that biological amplification does exist as a systemic effect, as the right hip received no irradiation but still healed at the exact same rate as the irradiated wound on the left. Similar studies have been performed on deeper tissues such as fractures with the exact same results. Then we have to answer the question of, can you treat low-level laser through clothing or bandages? Numerous studies similar to this one demonstrates that you can. In this study, they performed therapy on 3 different groups with very similar wounds in 3 different fashions. All 3 were treated as usual with bandages and proper medical care. The first group received no low-level laser therapy at all. Then the second group was treated with low-level laser therapy directly on the skin, and the third group wounds were treated with low-level laser therapy through the bandages. The results showed that the wounds that were treated with low-level laser therapy healed from 2 to 3 times as fast as the wounds that received no low-level laser therapy, which is similar to most wound studies that they have found in the past. However, the amazing finding was that the wounds that received low-level laser through the bandages actually healed a little faster than the wounds that were treated directly on the wound. This demonstrated that the wounds could be treated through the bandages with equal therapeutic results as treatment directly on the skin. And the reason the therapy through the bandages responded quicker than the therapy on the skin was thought to occur because the wounds were not disturbed or exposed to contamination by removing the bandages. These studies concluded that not only can you treat with low-level laser through natural fiber clothes and bandages, but that there is much more to low-level laser than meets the eye, and that will require a lot more research to fully explain. Those that still claim this is not possible do not understand low-level laser therapy and are not utilizing low-level laser therapy, but instead they're utilizing infrared laser therapy. When utilizing infrared laser therapy, you must be directly on the skin, as any interference between the energy source and the skin will alter the joules of energy that reach the targeted tissue and change the proper irradiation dose required for that treatment. Next, we have a process called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity represents the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. Neuroplasticity provides a way for nerve cells or neurons in the brain to respond and compensate for injury and disease and adjust neuronal activity in response to a new situation or to changes in the environment. Reorganizing the brain occurs by a mechanism of axonal sprouting, where damaged axons grow new nerve endings to reconnect neurons whose links were injured or severed. Undamaged axons can also contribute new nerve endings and connect with other undamaged nerve cells, forming new neural pathways to accomplish a needed function. In order for neurons to reconnect or form new connections, the neurons need active stimulation. Neuroplasticity describes an internal neurological environment that the brain needs to be in to heal or adapt. To place the nervous system into this environment requires specific stimulation, and low-level laser therapy is the greatest active stimulant to produce this neuroplastic environment of the nervous system. Another known stimulant is trauma, which is one reason why neurological trauma is so difficult to correct. Introducing neuroplasticity in an organized, controlled manner represents a new, rapidly evolving approach to healing the central nervous system. Given any trauma, realizing all traumas involve the central nervous system recognizing that trauma, consciously or subconsciously, quick response with active neuronal stimulation could theoretically maintain, repair, and retain most central nervous system functions such as learning, memory, speech, emotional distress, movement, balance, and so on. One further note on neuroplasticity. Infrared laser therapy does not promote a neuroplastic environment in the nervous system, as this will not occur with any of the infrared wavelengths. Plus, infrared laser radiation is contraindicated for use over any part of the nervous system, as it can significantly damage the nervous tissue. This has been a quick overview of laser therapy and the physiological effects on all mammalian tissue, including humans. Infrared laser therapy can be a quality individual physical therapy procedure for managing pain. However, low-level laser therapy is also a quality individual therapeutic procedure for pain management and many different healing properties on its own. But by stopping here, which most individuals do, you will miss the greatest therapeutic action of low-level laser therapy, which would be incorporating it as a foundational therapy of natural energy medicine, which can be developed into a complete healthcare profession. As always, for further questions or information about laser pulsar system therapy products or any information contained in these videos, please contact me, Dr. Gary Graham, or anyone at these contacts. In our next video, we will begin the discussion of frequency biomodulation, which is another major component of natural energy medicine. I want to thank you again for your time.